Hey, what's happening, everybody? My name's Omniyis, and I've been wanting to tell this story for a while, and I never really thought anybody would be interested in hearing a personal horror story. And then I saw the video on H3H3 did, or Ethan Klein, he did about his personal story, and I thought, maybe somebody would be interested. Now, you guys are going to have to be a little bit patient with me. It's mostly just going to be me talking to the camera and putting some images up of what the things look like in the story I'm about to tell you. So it's not going to be too great, but I'll try to do my best. I call this story the Honeysuckle House, and I've told everybody about this story except for YouTube. So here we go. So basically, when I was a little kid, me and my friend were real country. I mean, I think I was like 10 years old, but when I say country, I mean like Larry the Cable Guy, Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader? You know, you're a redneck type country. And so we did a lot of country boy type things. We'd always ride our bikes and collect something called honeysuckle. And basically what that is, it's like some type of flower or plant you bite the bottom of and you get like the nectar out of, and it's like some of the sweetest ever. Or you can take the little green part off the top of it and you lick it and it's like real sweet and everything. Well, basically we would collect a huge backpack full of honeysuckle. And that was our main thing. But we would usually do it on the side of like a highway, Like we'd ride our bikes on the side of a highway and there'd be these trees that had a whole lot of honeysuckle. So we'd have our backpacks, like not for school though, it's completely empty, it's summertime, and we just fill it up with as much honeysuckle as possible, and that was our thing. Well, one day, for some reason, I don't know why, we decided to not go on the side of the highway, and we took like a little dirt road, and I want to say that the place was kind of deserted, but I don't think it was. I know there was an abandoned house we went to, but I'm pretty sure there was houses over to the right of us. So it wasn't completely abandoned. Anyways, we come up onto this house and it's covered in honeysuckles and vines. And hopefully I have an image to at least show you what it looks like. It was crazy looking, but it was covered in honeysuckle and vines. So, we got our backpacks and we were able to fill our whole entire backpacks from this single house. To give you a hint, that's pretty crazy. We'd have to make multiple stops on the side of the highway in order to do that. But this one house, we filled it up completely. So my friend started getting this idea. He was like, it's really cool. We already filled up our bags. Why don't we go inside the house and see what it's like? I already had a bad feeling about this. I mean, the doorway was covered in vines. The only way we were going to be able to get in is, him getting his pocket knife and cutting the vines off, which is what he did. But I had a very weird feeling. This place was straight up abandoned, part of the neighborhood we'd never been in. Everything looked creepy. Well, my friend, he got his pocket knife and he cut open the vines, opened the door. And it was very noticeably abandoned. There was dust everywhere, dead bugs all over the place. The place was completely empty besides two things. There was a couch and there was a refrigerator. The refrigerator was as rusty. It was the rustiest thing I've ever seen in my life. I probably won't even be able to get a good enough image for you. But picture one of those white fridges that you see all the time, the normal ones, but it's just nearly brown. And the weird thing is, the second piece of furniture was a brand new couch. Now this sets me off now that I'm older, but when I was little, I was kind of set off a little bit by it. This couch was like gray, had no dust on it. It had just been moved in there probably a couple days. So that's what creeped me out. So what had happened was there was an upstairs and my friend said he was going to check out the upstairs. And so I was like, okay, I'll check downstairs. Immediately I started taking the cushions off. I was looking for change and stuff like that. Didn't find any. It was a brand new couch. There wasn't even any lint. And my friend was checking upstairs. And, I'll tell you what he found later. But after I got done checking the couch and everything, I was looking around. There's like a little type of small door in the living room. I opened it, completely empty because it's an abandoned house. And then I go towards the refrigerator. Now, remember, this thing was rusty. It was real brown because it had just been so old and sitting there for a while. Here's the weird part, though. So, I open it up, and just to give you an image, the handles were brown too, but that was from dirt, how dirty it was. I open it up, and, I still remember the contents inside there. There was like an old jelly jar. I think there was mayonnaise that had went pitch black in the back of it. A whole bunch of garbage and really disgusting type of, how do I say, it was like jellified, really gross, like juice type stuff all on the bottom of it. It was weird. But there was one thing that was catching my attention. So when I looked up at the freezer, there was like this brown goop that had leaked out from the freezer into the fridge. And I mean, it was everywhere. It was just sticky, real hard to move and everything. And I mean, you couldn't get it off your hands for anything. Well, just as I'm looking at the freezer, my friend comes downstairs and I say, "Did you find anything?" He said, "No, the only thing up there's a bathroom, but there's a new bed." And of course, that's setting something off for me now that I'm thinking about it too. A brand new bed and a brand new couch in an abandoned house. Very weird, very weird. So I was telling him about the freezer and how I couldn't get it open because, I was trying to open it a little bit, but I just couldn't get it. It was just too hard to open. And what I think it was like that brown slimy stuff was on the sides of the freezer, and it was just making it dang near impossible to open it. So, I asked my friend for some help, and we're really pulling on this. I understand we're like 10 years old, so we don't have that much manpower. But I mean, like, my friend, he had his leg on the side of the fridge, and he was like, he was pulling as hard as he possibly could. It was just so hard. And then the real story comes in. We opened the freezer, and the most horrifying smell, it was like the most putrid smell I've ever smelled in my life. It just hits immediately. And this huge bag, and I mean, like, it was as big as the freezer, comes falling out. And when I say bag, I can't really think of the actual type of bag you would call it. It's like weaved. It's like a brown type of, a brown bag that you have to weave and everything. I think people have put potatoes in it or something like that before. That's where I think I've seen it from. But it was like, how do I explain it? I think it was like this big and like that, right? It was a big bag, but it was covered in this brown liquid. So, we see the bag and it flops on the floor. It makes the biggest thing. It's like that, right? Worst smell we ever smelled. My friend is like dry heaving, and I don't know why he said it this loud, but he was like this. "Oh my God, what is that?" And as soon as he said that, hopefully I can find some good sound effects for this one, because it was the scariest thing I've ever heard in my life. This man come running down at full speed, screaming as loud as he could. And we were jolted, man. I jumped on my bike, he jumped on his bike. He was ahead of me though. And he started going. Well, I was riding my bike as fast as possible. And I looked back while I was riding, and this man's hand, I'm not even kidding when I say this. It freaks me out when I think about it. Was about that close. He was like, look, okay, here's my bike. He was like that. He almost grabbed the back of my bike. Had he done that, it would have flung me off the bike. He almost had me. But there's a weird thing to this that I still can't understand to this day. And the story's not over yet. So I still remember exactly what the man was wearing. I can't remember the shirt, but he had on a red and black type of, those country shirts, right? I can't remember what you call them, or the jackets, I mean. I used to have one. He had blue jeans and brown boots on. He didn't have a hat on. But I want you to picture this for a minute. For the life of me, we met eyes. I literally met his eyes as I looked at him. And I still, to this day, I cannot remember his face or even his eye color. Legitimately, every time I think about this and I'm telling people the story, there's no face in my mind. I know his clothing. I know everything about what the guy looked like, how big he was, his clothing. There's no face. Whenever I picture this, there's no hair, there's no nose, there's no mouth, there's no eyes. And I met his eyes. I saw his eyes, but I don't remember his face. Skipping on past all this story, we ran home. We didn't tell my grandparents. I was living with my grandparents at the time. I didn't tell my grandparents, and we just never talked about it. It's like we tried to forget it happened. It was just it scared the crap out of us. It was like traumatizing, But the scary story doesn't just end there. When you really start thinking about the brown liquid that was real sticky, there's only one other thing that ever reminded me of that smell and of that liquid. So basically, I can't remember who it was. I can't remember if it was a friend or a cousin, but they had this meat that they had inside of a deactivated refrigerator outside their house for a long time. When they got out there, because they had cut open the thing, the little supermarket trays you get, right? They had cut it open, and it had the same smell as that freezer did. And it was, I remember, it brought back my memory that day. And it was gooey, brown and gooey, just like it. Here's where things get a little bit scary, and it sort of gives me cold chills, and I love saying this part whenever I'm around a campfire with people. if you really think about it, that freezer, if I really wanted to at the time, I could have fit in that freezer. Definitely. I would have had just enough room though. Now, really think about this for a minute. I could have fit in that freezer. And if someone would have opened it, I would have flung out of the freezer if I was in there, like really fit my whole body up in there. So it becomes a little bit more terrifying when you realize that that sticky stuff is from old meat. The exact same smell was from rotting meat. And there was a bag that had something probably as big as I could have been at the time that flung out of that freezer. So do with that what you will. I think I know what was there, but straight up terrifying. And that's the story of the Honeysuckle house. I tell everybody that story. Anytime we're sitting down telling horror stories, that's the first story that comes to my mind. I have a couple more, but I'm not going to share it in this video just in case I actually want to upload them. But yeah, Honeysuckle house is definitely my #1 campfire story. And it's a personal story too. It's real. It's not a fake one. And it still creeps me out to this day. Not as bad as some other ones, but pretty bad. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. This is my first time actually trying to do a little horror reading for you. Hopefully I didn't mess it up too much. But I hope you guys enjoyed. Like the video if you like it. Subscribe to the video if you love it. And also check us out. We're doing a 100-day upload challenge. I upload a video one day every day for 100 days. Hopefully I'll see you guys there. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.